All right, let's talk about LangChain and LangGraph. If you're building anything with LLMs, you're definitely using LangChain. But now LangGraph is on the scene, and, it's created a bit of confusion. Are they fighting for the same spot? Do you have to pick a side? Well, we're going to cut right through all that noise. Because getting this right isn't just some academic exercise. It's going to be the key to how you build your next and probably best AI app. Look, if you only take one thing away from this whole explainer, make it this right here. Seriously. Think of LangChain as your box of Lego bricks, all the essential individual pieces you need. LangGraph, that's the control system. It's the set of instructions that tells you how to connect all those bricks to build something complex, something that can think and react. So here is how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the classic LangChain building blocks, then talk about where you kind of hit a wall with them. That's when we'll bring in LangGraph as the control system. We'll see how they work together, give you a super practical guide on when to use which, and then zoom out to see why this is all pointing towards a future run by AI agents. Okay, first things first, let's get a quick refresher on LangChain. For the longest time, it has been the absolute go-to, the essential toolkit for pretty much anyone starting out with a language model project. Its whole reason for being is to make things fast and simple. It gives you all these pre-made modular parts, so you're not constantly reinventing the wheel every time you want to hook up an LLM to a database or a search engine. It's all about putting things together fast. And these are the building blocks we're talking about. You've got your prompt templates for structuring inputs, wrappers for different models like OpenAI or Cohere, tools for things like web searches, and of course, chains to string all these steps together. It's really the perfect starter kit for getting your AI idea off the ground. So a typical LangChain app moves in a straight line, just like you see here. A question comes in, you grab some data, you format it all into a nice prompt, you shoot it over to the LLM, and then you clean up the output. It's A, then B, then C. And for a ton of use cases, this is absolutely perfect. It's powerful and it gets the job done. But what happens when that straight line just isn't cutting it anymore? This is the point where developers start to feel the pain, It's where the beautiful simplicity of a chain starts to feel more like a restriction. Exactly. What if your process needs to be smarter? What if it has to make decisions on the fly? Or retry something if it fails? Or maybe even pause and ask a human for help? A simple one-way chain, well, it just wasn't built for that kind of dynamic, complex work. And this slide, this right here, pinpoints the exact moments where things get tricky. Ever needed your AI to check its own work and maybe try again? That's a loop. Or what about having it decide, if this answer sucks, I'll go search the web. Otherwise, I'll just use the database. That's conditional logic. Trying to hack these things into a simple chain gets ugly really fast. And this is the very problem LangGraph was designed to solve. It's not just another set of building blocks. No, it's that missing piece. It's the control system. With LangGraph, you stop thinking in straight lines and start thinking in graphs. You have nodes, which are like your workstations, and edges, the paths between them. But the real magic is that it introduces a shared state. Think of it like a central whiteboard that every node can read and write on. This shared memory is what makes all that complex decision-making stuff possible. I mean, this slide just nails the difference, doesn't it? The LangChain mindset is all about do this, then do this, then do that. But the LangGraph mindset is totally different. It's, okay, let's look at the current situation, and based on what we see, decide what to do next. Maybe that's A, maybe it's C, or maybe we need to loop all the way back to the beginning. That's the game changer. So does that mean you just toss LangChain out the window? No way. Absolutely not. This is actually where things get really interesting, because this is where they team up and become a super powerful duo. And let's be crystal clear on this because it's a super common misconception. They are not competitors, they're partners, and they just operate at different levels. It's really important to get this straight. So here's how it actually works. LangGraph is your high-level manager, right? It's the governor controlling the overall flow. But what's happening inside each of those nodes in the graph? Well, that's your LangChain components doing the actual work. You might have a planner node that uses a LangChain chain, then a tool node that uses a LangChain tool agent. LangGraph decides what to do next, and LangChain handles how to do it at each step. Okay, theory's cool and all, but let's get down to brass tacks. You're about to start a new project. How in the world do you decide which setup to use? This table right here is basically your cheat sheet. Just look at the big differences. Flow type, linear versus a flexible graph. State management, kind of limited versus explicit and shared. And here's a huge one, loops. Trying to make a loop in pure LangChain is
a headache. In LangGraph, it's a built-in natural feature. This makes your whole system way more reliable and predictable.
So here's the bottom line. You should stick with just LangChain if your job is straightforward. Building a simple chatbot to answer questions about your docs, a standard RAG pipeline, just converting some text from one format to another. LangChain is your best friend. It's fast, efficient, and perfect for that.
But the second you hear yourself say something like, I need my AI to think about its answer and then improve it, or I need a main planner agent to give tasks to others specialized agents, ding, 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 that's your signal. That's when you bring in LangGraph to orchestrate that complex dance. And human in the loop for approvals, that's another huge reason to go with LangGraph.
All right, let's just zoom out for a minute, because this isn't just a debate about two developer tools. This whole shift from simple chains to complex stateful graphs, it tells us a lot about where the entire field of AI is headed. This just sums it all up perfectly. We're moving past the point of just building smart little components. Now we're tackling the much bigger, much more important challenge of actually governing how they behave. How do we make sure these incredibly powerful AIs act in predictable, reliable ways? And that's the key. LangGraph's structure, where you can literally watch the state change and track every single decision, it gives you the control you need to build real agentic AI systems, the kind of systems a business can actually trust and deploy. We're moving from just making cool demos to building reliable, mission-critical applications. And that really just leaves one final question for you. When you start planning your next project, think about this difference. Are you just snapping a few pieces together to build a simple tool? Or are you orchestrating all those pieces to build a dynamic, thinking, decision-making agent? Your answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know.